Thank you very much for joining us and welcome to this Philanthropy Company Way session. You may be wondering what this is all about. Well, it's simply that because the Philanthropy Company is growing and changing and moving forward, we thought it'd be really useful to have some guidance for us all on ways of doing things, kind of the way we do things around here. And so that's what this session is about. And Andrew and David are really going to run the session, but I just wanted to kind of position it, if you like, so that we're all in the same place on it. As you all know, amazingly, Philanthropy Company is 20 this year. And what is extraordinary is the difference that we've been able to make to literally hundreds of organizations, thousands of people and family, and of course raised millions and millions of pounds. And I'm particularly proud of the big campaigns we've worked on, the 100 million plus campaigns, but also some of the really grassroots work that we've done, which has made a massive difference to people. And what we notice as we go into this year, this strange year post-pandemic, is actually the need is greater than ever. And the need not only for our help for people to raising funds, but also actually for interim, for practical hands-on fundraising and for advisory work. And that's very much the direction of travel for us. We're also doing more and more in the philanthropy advisory space, working with foundations, working with family offices, and that's a new area that very interesting to bring into the Philanthropy Company. But along the way, along the last couple of decades, of course, we've come up with some ways of doing things that seem like good ways of doing things. Nothing enormously radical, but actually represent what we do in terms of quality of our work and also the values of our work. And that is what today is about. So I'm going to hand over to David in a minute. Really thrilled that David joined us this year, I think in January. And actually, David and I met through work we did together at the National Emergencies Trust, where staggeringly, we raised £98 million in 4 months. And some of that was with the help of Tesco's, where David was running their community and giving program. So really delighted that he joined Philanthropy Company as a director earlier this year. And many of you will already know Andrew, who I've been with the Philanthropy Company for, I think a couple of years, 2.5 years, and is another one of our directors and has made a substantial difference in terms of our reach into universities, into academic institutions, and indeed his background in sport. So we've done a large amount of work with sports organizations as well. So just to remind you, we are recording. That's why we've got you all on mute. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. And we look forward to responding to those later. So let me hand over to David. David, thank you.
Great, thanks. Thanks very much, Caroline, and hello, everyone. So we have recently updated how we describe Philanthropy Company and the work that we do, which we have been using internally and also externally. So if you've looked at our LinkedIn page recently, at our website, if you've read the newsletter from the 20th event, you'll see some of the language that is really consistent now across what we do. And I just thought it might be useful to just read out a descriptor that we've developed that really tries to set the tone and be really clear about what we do. So we say, we help philanthropy grow. We have spent 2 decades helping organizations and individuals seek and channel fundraising and philanthropy to deliver positive social impact. We are subject matter experts, strategic consultants, and hands-on deliverers. We are responsive in a changing world where now more than ever, philanthropy has a leading role to play. We help philanthropists, boards, trustees, and teams to deliver impact, widen participation, advance social purpose, and drive positive change. Based in the UK, but with a global outlook, we are a multi-skilled team with a vast range of experience covering community, charity, culture, and commerce. Through our clients and partners, we have helped to build physical infrastructure, including hospitals, schools, universities, galleries, and concert halls, and build social infrastructure, developing community resilience during the pandemic, providing relief to families in times of crisis, enabling churches and historic buildings to fundraise for their historic assets, and nurturing the talent and potential of young leaders and change makers from varied backgrounds. We are proud to help philanthropy grow. So we're trying to incorporate that descriptor into as much of how we talk about ourselves internally and externally as possible. And you'll see that it also sits at the heart of the Philanthropy Company Way. And a lot of that language is used in the Our Business section, which is just the second section on the first page of it. Our success is based on 4 broad areas, and Andrew's going to go through those in more detail. The core values that we all have and how we represent them. A clear and responsive focus on the marketplace, our understanding and client delivery or delivery to clients, our effective business systems, and confident promotion, confidently talking about what we do. And as I say, I'll hand over in a second to Andrew, who's going to go through that in more detail. I think it's important to remember, and this will come as no surprise, me saying this coming from a Tesco commercial background, although we work in philanthropy and social investment and social impact, we are a commercial business which generates profit in order to grow sustainably. So when we talk about our growth and client growth, it is necessary for Philanthropy Company to grow. It's been successful for the last 20 years, and we want it to be successful for the next 20 years. So that's an important message coming through as well. But I'm delighted to join. Really enjoyed my first few months here. Look forward to continuing. And I will now hand over to Andrew, who's going to go through a bit more of the detail.
Thank you, David. It's great to be working with you as well. So let me just share my screen. Things coming up. There we go. Yeah. So one obvious thing to say is that we're not McDonald's, but what we are really striving to do is to provide some real consistency around how we operate. We have a client philosophy, which is that we want to have I suppose, a starting framework for how we operate with a way that we can flex to suit client needs. So we're not out to reinvent the wheel for each assignment or for every new person that joins, but we want to kind of bring together the sort of rich network that we have, all the different perspectives that we have. But ultimately, it's about delighting clients, building our reputation, and as David just mentioned, it's about generating financial return for the business through being really efficient in the way we operate. We do have a document on the company way, the Philanthropy Company Way, which if you haven't got, we will certainly share with you. And obviously, clearly for every new person that joins, then that will be part of induction as well. David just mentioned the sort of components of the business model that we have. So I won't dwell on this diagram here, but all of this needs to come together in a sophisticated way in order to continue and embellish the 20 years of success that we've had so far. All of that sort of predicated on operating as a team, and we've also got the core team, our network of consultants, and indeed some partners that we work with. So it's all crucial that we synchronize and work well together around that. No matter who you are and what job title you might have or particular role assigned in a project, at different times we are called upon to provide all of these different roles that are listed here, from storytellers to strategists and everything else in between. and it's worth keeping that in mind, that you know, it's not about being sort of dogmatic about titles, etc. It's you know, it's responding and playing a part in all of those different aspects. David, you know, read out our I suppose our longer, you know, vision statement, but the essence of it is very much, you know, our vision being a better world through philanthropy. Our mission is that we help the philanthropy grow. And then there are three core values that we aspire to. Integrity, I know from day one of Caroline, you know, creating the company, integrity has been absolutely central to how we operate. You know, clearly innovation is enormously important as we try and continue to add value to the sector more generally, but you know, none of that's worth doing unless it really creates impact. And I know we've already had some examples of how we've done that, and we hope to create many more into the future. I won't dwell on each of these, but we identified about 9 or 10 values, the way that we want to operate, and giving some examples around that. You know, the difference we make for clients, the kind of energy that we bring to the job, and situations, transparency around, you know, really being upfront with clients, whether, you know, we're delivering hard messages or ones that they'll be keen to receive. Yeah, consistent methodologies, acting as ambassadors in every circumstance, trying to bring together the best possible expertise, operating as a junction point for the sector, you know, for real thought leadership around that. Clearly teamwork. And I think an important point to make is that although we are based in the UK, we really do have a global outlook around our work, and therefore a readiness to support internationally. In terms of our market focus, there's sort of three things that sort of dictate that, or at least you know, lead us. Clearly, you know, the clients, the who are we working for, you know, what sectors are they in, you know, where do we want to operate, and what are the types of services that we want to deliver, or more importantly, you know, our clients wish to access from us. You know, we'll be pretty familiar with a lot of this, but then this isn't necessarily an exhaustive list, but at sort of headline level, these are the types of individual or institution, organization that we're attempting to work with. You know, whether that's individual philanthropists, perhaps seasoned philanthropists, but those that may be emerging, you know, companies, trust and foundations, and even to some extent, perhaps with the trade itself, you know, whether that's, you know, software CRM companies, or, you know, the legal firms that perhaps specialize in, you know, charity law, etc. And here's an indicative list of the kind of sectors that we've been asked to work in the past, or we feel that we've got a lot to offer in this arena. There aren't too many sectors beyond what we've got listed here, but and you know, clearly we will be led and respond to clients' inquiries, but equally we want to be sure that we've got both the mix of people, expertise, and you know, an ability to really make a difference in a particular sector. You know, how saturated is it with other competitors, etc. Even in recent days, we've had a suggestion from a client that there aren't enough good people or good consultants in the arena of independent schools, for example. But we do need to look carefully as to whether that is something that we can absorb and do a really good job in. But you know, you can really see a broad constituency there that really provides a lot of variety for all of us in terms of the work we do. So that is all good. Again, actually a pretty exhaustive list of the services that we offer. So everything from full-on feasibility studies comprising most of the things you see there, through to other things that may well be more attuned to an individual philanthropist, for example. But you know, extensive list of services, which is why we need a wide consultancy network, why we need individual bits of expertise as well as sort of general knowledge. And then, you know, almost no matter what situation you are drawn into, whatever the sort of client work might be, What I wanted to stress is that there is an account management structure that we are building and putting in place for every assignment. So clearly, Caroline can't be in every possible situation. We'd love to clone her many times over, but typically she's there to provide strategic oversight for the clients that we have. What we do make sure is that there is a director, a philanthropy company director assigned as an account director to all projects as well. Then there being a sort of account project manager in place, often coordinating the work, but also in many situations also delivering the work. And we're not dogmatic, as I've said before. There really is a different blend, and sometimes Caroline's heavily involved in a particular project. But what I wanted to stress is that no matter who you are, if you feel like you're working slightly in isolation with a client, then that's not our intention. And we'd love to make sure that the structure is as suitable as possible. Partly to make sure that when we do come to the end of a contract, that there's no surprises with client feedback, that we've picked up problems early on, or many projects are very complex and maybe do need a number of heads to come together to solve them. But although I'm mentioning there about end of contract, I think the message also is that there should never really be an end. So one of our mantras is once a client, always a client. We hope that people either move on to other assignments themselves, or we'll get called back at some stage. So when it comes to actually delivering the work, I think it's important about, as I said, we're not McDonald's, but at the same time, we want to be sure that when consultants and staff come together to deliver a piece of work, that we have got some consistency, that we're not Cornish or Devon, depending on who's just been put on the project. One of the few ways that we're trying to bring a consistency to things is that, as I'll show you in a minute, I mean, in our Philanthropy Company Way document, we've got several sort of models that we have that may guide people in the way that they approach a particular task. So it's important that people are familiar with those and can understand and then relate them to the project that they're being assigned to. Also, be reassured as well, we've got a suite of template documents and forms built up over the last decade or two that are capable of helping you through a particular situation. There aren't too many things we haven't come across. And even if there are some new things, we'd rather that people look to see what the templates are, and then maybe we do some adaptation from there. And I think the only other thing to say is as well that most clients wouldn't explicitly sort of want all of the intellectual property that we devote to a project to be their property at the end of it, even though obviously some of them pay handsomely for the privilege. But it's essentially what we have as a business is that intellectual property. It's the assets that we have. So we need to manage those carefully and consistently. Just one of the models in the way, this is probably applicable to sort of full-on feasibility study, but you may be called upon to do different aspects of this. But in my experience, you need all 5 of these things to come together in order to be to really signal success on a consistent basis for an organisation doing fundraising. So, how strong can the proposition be? Related case for support. How extensive can the prospect pool be made? Who's in amongst the organisation, both paid and volunteer, and ambassadors. Who's really fighting and speaking up for your particular campaign or cause. How can you best promote the opportunity, the campaign that you may have, and really importantly, sort of what are the processes that sit underneath all of that, to sustain things. So that's really what we're looking for people to, the kind of acid test they may put on a particular situation. Again, just in terms of the templates, they cover 4 areas really. One is the sort of, I suppose, the cultivation, the sales process of getting work in the first place. We have a sales team, and increasingly the sort of suite of tools that they have available to them are growing, and some indicative things there, and clearly everything from sort of terms and conditions to much more salesy things. When it comes to the consulting part of it, the delivery of the work, then again, there's a long list there of different types of templates and documents that clients would often need. And then two other areas that we operate in. Clearly, prospect research is governed by an awful lot of law and data, data law. So it's important that we do that in a systematic way, and that records are kept around that. So a number of resources that you can rely on in that particular arena. And then we've also been called upon over several years to do different types of training, whether that's with boards or with individual fundraising teams. And so again, we've got a suite of resources there that can be looked at and adapted as we go forward. So I won't get into any more of the detail around that, but just hopefully that's given you a sense of what's available, the way we want to operate, our philosophy. But just finally to say thank you very much for being part of the Philanthropy Company family, and I hope this has been helpful in enabling your relationship going forward. So thank you.
I'm just thinking perhaps I should come back in to let people know that was the kind of essence of what we were doing. Well, it is the essence of what we're doing, and I hope it was helpful. I'd love if anyone wants to put anything in the chat, that would be great. Thanks, Nikki. Yes, we can do an organogram of the core team. That's probably sensible because lots of people have changed. Although as a small team, it is very fluid and flexible. So we can do that for sure. But I hope that was helpful, and please do come back to us either now or separately. And as Andrew said, I mean, we're really thrilled by the caliber of people that we have around us and can work with. So it's really terrific to have you all on board. And with that, absolutely to the minute, let's get on with our day. And thank you so much for joining. Speak soon. Bye.